All right, so first thing first, you're looking inside of your parentheses. So looking inside, what angle has a sine of positive 1/2? So, Janaya, what angle did you come up with? Pi over 6. Who agrees? A sine. Okay, good. So that's pi over 6. Now, the second question is, what is the cosine of pi over 6? So, hey, what did you put for the cosine of pi over 6? And that would be your final answer. Composite simply means you have 2 questions. That's it. All right, now we're looking at, excuse me. What is the cosine of 4 pi over 3? What is the cosine of 4 pi over 3? Negative 1/2. Okay, now, what angle on the unit circle has a cosecant of negative 1/2? What'd you say, Miles? None of them. That's D and E. Now, if it said sine, we would have an answer. But we don't have a cosecant of negative 1/2. So this would be does not exist. All right. What angle has a cotangent of negative 1? And cotangent, what quadrants am I looking in? 1 and 2 or 1 and 4? 1 and 2. Who agrees that it's 1 and 2? So what angle has a cotangent of negative 1? So Aaron, what would you say? What angle has a cotangent of negative 1?
Oh, shoot, you caught on me? Nah.
Natalie, what angle did you put? What angle has a cotangent of negative 1? 3 pi over, did you say 4? Yep, that would be your answer. All right, who got at least 2 of those correct? Who got all 3 right? Okay. If you got 0 out of 3, be worried. Be worried. Because we got a test in a couple of days. All right, so now let's start 7.3. Go ahead and start. Title your note 7.3. You have homework due Friday and homework due Monday. So now we're talking about trig equations. It's the final section of material that's on your quiz, or it's actually a test. All right, go ahead and copy down these first 3 questions. Make sure you have out your unit circle. All right, what do you think my first step is going to be to solve this first one here? How do I get rid of a 3? Yep, you see, that's being multiplied. The opposite of multiplication is division. So let's divide both sides by 3. So I have the inverse sign of x equals pi over 3. All right, what is the opposite of inverse sign? Regular sign. Yeah, so let's go ahead and put in a regular sign on both sides. That's going to cancel this out. Now I'm left with x equals the sine of pi over 3. Look at your unit circle and tell me what is the sine of pi over 3. All right, who got positive root 3 over 2? That would be your answer. All right, let's go ahead and look at our second one. So we're going to, again, we're dividing both sides by 2, right? But when you divide by 2, we're actually doing a keep, change, flip. So when I'm dividing by 2 over 1, that's the same as multiplying by 1 over 2. Remember, whenever you divide fractions, you have to do a keep, change, flip. So then that'll give me the inverse cosine of angle x equals pi over 4. The opposite of an inverse cosine is a regular cosine. So x equals the regular cosine of pi over 4. Go ahead and look at your unit circle and tell me what is the regular cosine of pi over 4. And you should get positive root 2 over 2. Anybody else get that? Okay, pretty. Is it how we doing? Pretty hard? Not too bad. It's not too bad. Okay. All right, now let's look at this next one. We have a negative 4. So do I add 4 or do I add the 4 or do I divide by negative 4? We're going to divide both sides by negative 4. So that means I have the inverse tangent of 2x equals negative 2 pi. So now we're going to get rid of the inverse tangent by putting in a regular tangent. So 2x equals the regular tangent of negative 2 pi. So negative 2 pi is the same as positive 2 pi on the unit circle. And when you look at that, you get 1 and a 0. 1 is your x, 0 is y. How do you find tangent? Is tangent x divided by y or y divided by x? So 2x equals 0 divided by 1, which is just 0. And then if I divide both sides by 2, what do I get for x? X equals what? X equals 0. All right, any questions? Ready for the next 3? Okay, go ahead and copy these 3 down. This is what's really important is we're going to solve by finding the inverse, but this means I'm looking in all 4 quadrants. Normally, when we're doing an inverse, we're only looking in 1 and 4 or 1 and 2. You can just put it in that red tray on top of all that junk so I know where it is. Thank you. Okay, but now we have to look in all 4. So we will have, in some cases, more than one answer. So when you take your test next week, it is important that you are reading the directions. If it says from 0 to 2 pi, then you throw this out the window. This does not apply. You're looking at the whole unit circle. Okay. All right. So the opposite of a regular sign is the inverse sign. So what angle on the unit circle between 0 and 2 pi has a sign of -1? All of my angles are positive now. There is no negative pi over 2. It's just whatever it says on the unit circle. So your answer would be 3 pi over 2. All right, B has 2 answers. Don't say it out loud. Tell me the 2 angles. There's 2 angles. One in quadrant 1. And where else is cotangent positive? What quadrant has a positive tangent? 3. So I'm looking for an answer in quadrant 1 and an answer in quadrant 3. Looking at your unit circles. You should get pi over 4 and 5 pi over 4. Who had that? All right, good job. All right, last one. We're taking the inverse cosecant. Theta, which is just, this is a Greek letter, but that's the same as X. See, on this last slide, we use X. It could be any letter. So now we switch to theta. Theta equals the inverse cosecant of -2. Who is the sister of cosecant? Sine. And this is -2 over 1. So if I wanted to write it in terms of what we see on the unit circle, that means I'm looking for all of the sine values that equal -1/2. And there should be 2 answers. So go ahead. So cosecant of -2 is the same thing as sine of -1/2. So there should be 2 answers. 2 positive answers. One in quadrant 3, one in quadrant 4. That's where sine is negative. So Robin, what did you come up with?
11 pi over, or negative pi over 6?
Nope, it's all positive, so you were right the first time.
11 pi over 6.
11 pi over 6. And what about in quadrant 3?
That'd be 7 pi over 6?
Yep, that would be your 2 answers. That's it. We're solving equations now. All right, any questions? Ready for the, yes.
When do we make the like the radians negative again?
If it did not say, so going back to the bell work, notice how it didn't tell us where to look. It just says find the following. That means that we're going back to quadrants 1 and 4 or 1 and 2. But if the directions have this at the top, 0 to 2 pi, that means you're looking at all 4 quadrants. Nothing is negative. See, because it says this is all positive. 0 to a positive number. Everything is positive. All right, let's go ahead and look at the next 2. Go ahead, copy those 2 down. Same thing, 0 to 2 pi. Go ahead and copy down these next 2. The deadline to retake chapter 6 test is Friday. I don't have anybody in this class who asked to retake it, but if you are thinking you want to retake it, you need to let me know today so I can put you on my list.
But he's turning late.
Alright, what do you think we're going to do with that first equation to solve it for theta? Subtract what? 1. Let's go ahead and do that. Subtract 1 from both sides. So when I subtract the 1, I have cosine of theta equals -1. The opposite of a regular cosine is the inverse cosine. So when I put an inverse cosine on both sides, all it's going to do on the left is cancel out the cosine. So theta equals the inverse cosine of -1. Normally, for inverse cosine, we would only look in quadrants 1 and 2. But this is saying find all of your solutions. So you got to go in all 4 quadrants. There's still only one answer, though. So what would be our answer? What angle? Pi. All right, let's look at this next one. What do you think I'm doing to solve? What's my first step? Subtract 6. And now what am I going to do? Subtract 4. Divide. So secant of x is -2. When I take the inverse secant, this means that I'm looking for all of the angles that have a secant of -2. Or you can write that in terms of cosine. Forgot the negative. And tell me where is cosine -1/2. So this has 2 answers. So you can write it 2 different ways. Secant, inverse secant -2, or inverse cosine -1/2. So there should be 2 answers. So we're looking in quadrants 2 and 3. So I have 2 pi over 3 and 4 pi over 3. Who had that for their 2 solutions? All right, what you think so far about solving equations? Are they crazy? Not yet? All right, let's keep raising the difficulty. Go ahead and copy these down. Same thing, all 4 quadrants. All right, what do you think we're doing first? Subtracting the 2. So I have 3 root 2 cosine of theta equals -3. Now this is a number that's being multiplied. So I'm dividing both sides by 3 root 2. So that's going to give me cosine of theta equals. Now remember, with this 3, there's an invisible 1. Every single number is being multiplied by 1. We just don't put it up there. So when I cancel out the 3, what I'm left with is -1 over the square root of 2. And after you rationalize that, we get that the cosine is equal to -root 2 over 2. So I'm looking for all of the angles. There should be 2 that have a cosine value of -square root of 2 over 2. So cosine is negative in quadrants 2 and 3. So you should get 3 pi over 4 and 5 pi over 4. Nope. Yes, 5 pi over 4. Who had that for their answers? Okay. So far, so good? Anything crazy? Pretty basic? Nothing crazy. Okay. All right, let's look at this one. Go ahead and copy that down if you haven't already. What do you think our first step is going to be? Divide by 4. So now I have cosine squared equals 1 over 4. How do I get rid of the square? What's the opposite of squaring something? Square root it. So I'm square rooting this and the 1 and the 4. So instead of a cosine squared, I have a regular cosine equals 1 over 2. But I'm not done. What do you think I'm missing? Is the square root of 1/4 only 1/2? Plus or minus. So looking on your unit circle, there's actually 4 answers. I want you to tell me in every single quadrant where is cosine positive 1/2 or negative 1/2. So there's 4 solutions that I'm looking for. Okay, so I had in quadrant 1, I had pi over 3. In quadrant 2, I had 2 pi over 3. In quadrant 3, I had 4 pi over 3. And in quadrant 4, I had 5 pi over 3. Who had those 4 answers? So again, anytime you have to take the square root, that's the biggest mistake on the test, is that when you take the square root of any number, there's 2 answers, a positive and a negative. Okay, getting close to the end. Let's go ahead and do these 2. So again, It's gonna be a plus minus because they're both, we got a cosine squared and we have a tangent squared. Okay, so for this first one, what do you think we're doing first? Adding 3. So 4 cosine squared x equals 3. Now we're going to do what? Divide by 4. So we have cosine squared equals 3 over 4. Now to get rid of the square, we got to take the square root. So I get the cosine of x equals root 3 over 2. So on your unit circle, tell me all of the angles that have a positive or negative root 3 over 2. So there should be 4 answers. So we got in quadrant 1, we have pi over 6. In quadrant 2, we have 5 pi over 6. In quadrant 3, we have 7 pi over 6. And in quadrant 4, 11 pi over 6. Who had those 4 answers? All right, last 2. Now we're talking about, I'm sorry, I got to keep going because, we got magic school. So we got to get as much done as we can. Not today, but this week. All right, last 2 for today. Go ahead and copy it down. And I want you to notice, there was another one? Oh, you right. I'm just playing. All right, so we take the square root and we get that the tangent of x equals tangent squared of x. So wait, let me go back. You take the square root. So tangent of x equals positive or negative 1. So looking on your unit circle, where is tangent positive or negative 1? There should be 4 answers. 4 places. Remember, that's always in the middle. So that would be pi over 4, 3 pi over 4. What's the next one? 5 pi over 4 and 7 pi over 4. Thank you. I did not mean to skip that. All right, so last 2. Go ahead and zoom out. All right, the main thing I want you to write is what you see highlighted in yellow. When I ask for a general formula, what does that mean? It's not that bad. Okay. So first thing we're gonna do, I'll give y'all some time to finish writing, sorry. First thing you're gonna do is subtract. So let's subtract the square root of 3 from both sides. So what that's gonna give me is 2 sine theta is negative square root of 3. And then we're dividing both sides by 2. So that tells me sine of theta is negative root 3 over 2. So the opposite of sine is inverse. So looking on your unit circle, tell me where is sine negative root 3 over 2. There should be 2 answers. But we're going to write our answers differently this time. Okay, so the first place would be in quadrant 3. And in quadrant 3, the angle would be 4 pi over 3. Now, because it's, so 4 pi over 3. And then what about in quadrant 4? 5 pi over 3. So because it says general solution, you have to add plus or minus 2 pi k to both of your angles. Because what that means is that every time we go around the unit circle, clockwise, or I did not mean to put a 3. Anytime we go around the unit circle, clockwise or counterclockwise, 360 degrees or 2 pi, we will get a sine value of negative root 3 over 2. So when it says general solution, that's what I want you to add. All right, last one. So I have cosine of theta equals 1. Theta is equal to the inverse cosine of 1. There's only one answer to this one. What angle on our unit circle has a cosine value, a cosine of positive 1? 0. 0, and then again, we have to add plus or minus 2 pi k. You could put n also. Yeah, just like when we graphed, you know, professors use a lot of different variables. Some use k, some use n, same thing.